There are moments in history when even Hollywood's brightest lights grow dim, when fame, power, and pride mean nothing against the force of fate. For Clark Gable, that moment came on a cold January night in 1942, when the love of his life, Carole Lombard, was taken from him without warning. Clark Gable was known as the King of Hollywood. He was strong, confident, and effortlessly charming, the man every actor wanted to be and every woman wanted to love. But behind that confident smile, Gable carried a softer truth. He had finally found real happiness in Carole Lombard, and losing her would break something inside him that never fully healed. A love born in laughter. Clark and Carole's love story began the way great Hollywood romances often do, on a movie set. They met while filming No Man of Her Own in 1932. At first, there was no spark. Gable was married, and Lombard, with her sharp wit and fearless humor, didn't fall easily for anyone. But years later, when both were single, they met again at a Hollywood party. Something clicked instantly. Carole, known for her wild sense of humor, brought out a side of Gable the public never saw. She teased him, called him Pa, and made him laugh until his tough exterior melted. Gable, who had spent years chasing fame, found in her something he'd never had: peace. They married in 1939 on a ranch in Kingman, Arizona, away from the spotlight. Friends said they were inseparable, a perfect balance of strength and mischief. He was her Clarky, and she was his Ma. A marriage filled with joy. At their ranch outside Los Angeles, the Hollywood glamour faded away. Clark chopped wood and worked the land, while Carole cooked and filled the home with animals. They laughed constantly. She once bought him pigs as a joke, calling them his new co-stars. They were both at the peak of their careers. Gable fresh off Gone with the Wind, and Lombard one of the top comedic actresses in Hollywood. But at home, they weren't movie stars. They were just Clark and Carole, playful, down-to-earth, deeply in love. Friends often said Carole was the only woman who truly understood him. She didn't care about his fame. She cared about the man beneath it. For Gable, who had grown up poor and battled through Hollywood's pressure, that meant everything. The war and the promise. In 1942, World War II was raging. America had just entered the conflict, and patriotic energy swept the country. Carole Lombard wanted to help. She threw herself into war bond rallies, determined to raise money for the troops. Gable was proud, but worried. He had begged her to travel by train. It was safer, but Carole was never one to slow down. "Don't worry, Pa," she said with a grin. "I'll be home before you miss me." She boarded a plane to Indiana for a war bond event. Her mother and press agent joined her. Carole's charm and spirit drew huge crowds. She raised over $2 million in one day, a stunning achievement for that time. When the event ended, she was offered a chance to travel back slowly by train, but Carole wanted to get home to Clark faster. She decided to fly. It was a decision that would change Gable's life forever. The crash. On the night of January 16, 1942, Transcontinental and Western Air Flight 3 departed Las Vegas. Just minutes after takeoff, the plane slammed into the side of Potosi Mountain, killing everyone aboard. 22 people, including Carole, her mother, and her agent. The news reached Hollywood by morning. Clark Gable was filming when a messenger arrived. Witnesses say he went pale, dropped what he was holding, and whispered, "Carole?" He rushed to Las Vegas immediately. At the crash site, the wreckage still burned. The terrain was steep, dangerous, and scattered with debris. Against the advice of officials, Gable tried to climb the mountain himself. He wanted to bring her home. Reporters later wrote that he stood at the base of the mountain for hours, silent, unshaven, refusing to leave. The King of Hollywood looked utterly broken. Grief behind closed doors. After Carole's body was recovered, Gable arranged a private funeral. He refused to speak publicly, telling friends, "She was everything I ever wanted." He buried her at Forest Lawn Memorial Park, where he would one day be laid beside her. In the weeks that followed, Gable disappeared from the public eye. He barely ate. He hardly spoke. His friends, Spencer Tracy and Frank Capra, said he would sit in silence for hours, staring at her photograph. Carole's belongings remained exactly where she left them. Her clothes hung in the closet. Her perfume still sat on the dresser. He couldn't bear to move them. Her 2 dogs wandered the house waiting for her return. He'd often sit with them at night, whispering her name. Hollywood saw him return to work months later, but those close to him said he was changed. The sparkle in his eyes, that mix of confidence and mischief, never truly returned. The decision to enlist. After her death, Gable made a shocking announcement. He was joining the U.S. Army Air Forces. At 41, he didn't have to go, but he insisted. Many believed it was his way of escaping the pain. Others thought it was to honor Carole, who had died serving her country's cause. Gable himself said, "She believed in doing something. I'm just doing what she'd want." He trained as a gunner and later flew combat missions over Europe. Soldiers admired him for refusing special treatment. He faced real danger, flying in open skies while German fire tore through the air. Friends later said he carried a small photograph of Carole in his pocket on every flight. It was his good luck charm, his silent companion in war. Life after the war. When he returned to Hollywood after the war, he was still the king, but quieter now, more reserved. He made several films, including The Hucksters and Mogambo, but his heart wasn't in fame anymore. He married twice more, but those close to him said Carole's shadow never left him. He kept her photos in his dressing room, beside his bed, even on his movie sets. Years later, when a friend asked him if he still thought about her, he smiled sadly and said, "Every day." The final chapter. In 1960, while filming The Misfits with Marilyn Monroe, Gable was exhausted. He told a friend, "I'm ready to see Ma again." Just weeks after the movie wrapped, he suffered a massive heart attack and died at the age of 59. According to his wishes, he was buried beside Carole Lombard, reunited after 18 long years apart. Their graves rest side by side, simple and quiet, just like they wanted. Visitors often leave flowers between their headstones, symbols of a love that outlasted fame, tragedy, and time. A love that never died. Clark Gable was known for his strength, his swagger, and his unforgettable roles. But the truest part of his story wasn't what happened on screen. It was what happened when the cameras stopped. He wasn't just Hollywood's king. He was a man who loved deeply and lost deeply. Carole Lombard was his match, his laughter, his light, his home. When she died, he didn't just lose a wife. He lost the part of himself that believed life could be perfect. And yet, through his grief, he showed the world something greater than fame, the power of love that refuses to fade. Even in death, they remained together. Hollywood's most human love story, carved forever in stone and memory.